How are you? What's your name? And what's your company?
Very good. My name is Ricky Brar, and my company is called Brains Bioceutical Corp. It's a pharmaceutical and life sciences company that's very disruptive to traditional medicine, as we don't use synthetic chemicals. We use natural plant-based medicines to try to purify them to the level that the global pharmaceutical companies and doctors and insurance companies are willing to write prescriptions for a natural plant-based medicine. And that's important because once you can write a prescription, you can have your insurance company pay for it or cover for the medicines. Whereas if you just wanted to use a natural plant-based medicine today, you would have to go buy it with your own money off the shelf.
So firstly, what was the very first idea or project you tried, even if it completely failed?
Well, the very first one thankfully worked out. My very first one was something similar, where I started to grow herbs, fresh herbs, and started to extract them and take out their essential oils. Oil of oregano, oil of rosemary. And then later on, as that company grew, I started to realize that inside each of these plants, there were only certain molecules that gave you the health benefit. You didn't need all 200 chemicals or 100 chemicals that was inside the plant. What you needed was that key molecule. The science of nutrition moved on. Remember, I'm an old guy, so I was doing this 33 years ago. So as the science of nutrition moved on and people started to realize that you didn't need to eat a mountain of pineapple, all you needed was the bromelain that was in it to get that health benefit. I started extracting for the active ingredient.
Wow, that's so interesting. And how did you finally arrive at what you're doing today? How did you translate from doing that to this?
It's a bit of a unique story. There was no real business thesis behind why I'm doing this today. What happened was that company that I first started that I just told you about, it went through several changes, and we became one of the largest growers of herbs and nutrients in the world, and supplied both the nutrition companies and the pharma companies.
Wow.
But when I sold that company in 2010, the buyer gave me a list of over 300 herbs and vegetables that I could no longer grow because they didn't want me to go into competition with them after they paid me a lot of money for that company. It's called a non-compete. On the non-compete list was a whole bunch of herbs, and my mom got sick, and I started to look into what herb could cure my mom. And I understood from my research and from my scientists that CBD, which was found in hemp and in cannabis, could cure my mom. And luckily, it wasn't on the banned substance list or on my non-compete list. So that's how Brains Bioceutical was formed. I went on this journey to find herbs and natural medicines that could help cure my mom. And then along the way, there were uncles and friends and their children, all who had different types of issues. And so Brains grew into what it is today, which is, again, natural plant-based medicines for solving some of humanity's health issues.
So people often only see the highlights in different companies. So what's one failure or mistake that shaped you into the person you are and made you successful?
There's a few. There's not just one, but one of the more impactful failures of my life was being taught very hard lessons because I didn't pay attention to the details. Because I was so in the mode to just go and create and just get it done. I thought the person that I said, just get it done, was going to get it done. And I relied on that. And I did that with my paperwork as well. Yeah, so early on in my career, I signed a bunch of contracts, and my company was young. This is my previous company now, the one I sold in 2010. I thought I had signed this massive deal with Costco in the USA, and I didn't read the fine print in the deal. And, me in my typical way, I was like, yeah, let's go. And I've got this huge Costco deal.
Yeah.
So I like tripled the size of all my farms because they're such a massive customer. I was like, we're going to supply them with vitamins and nutrition, and let's go. And, I bought all this equipment, and I bought all this packaging and materials and everything. And I kept calling the guy to say, where's my order? Like, hey, you said we'd be ready to go in July. Where's my order? And I've now grown everything. Like, imagine if I was doing 200 acres of something, I would have planted 1,000 because Costco was coming. Like, and so I planned everything, and the guy calls up and says, oh, we changed our mind. Like, what do you mean you changed your mind? You have a contract with me. And he's like, yeah, read your contract. We changed our mind. We have the right to change our mind. And it's not as simple as saying changed our mind, right? In the contract, it said that if I didn't receive an order within 12 weeks or something of the launch date, that the contract was canceled, considered null and void. And I'm just sitting there going, oh, like in the very fine print, in one paragraph, one line. And so that almost bankrupted me. Like, I had nowhere to go with all this product.
Yeah.
And it was a valuable lesson, but then it also taught me to hustle, because now I had crops growing that had to get to a market. So I was in my pickup truck with all sorts of samples, going from city to city to city in the USA, and just not taking no for an answer. Someone was like, for example, fresh basil. Everyone loves a margarita pizza. I went to every pizza house in every city. Who's your supplier? Who's your distributor? Some guys would order direct. I don't go through a distributor or someone. I was flying. That year, I became Southwest Airlines Cargo's one of their biggest customers, because I was flying little boxes of herbs. I didn't care what someone paid me. All I cared is that at the end of the year, I broke even and I could pay the bank, because I was screwed if that didn't happen. Like, it would have been devastating for my company. So yeah, read the fine print, pay attention to details, pay attention to how, all the ways in which you can possibly get messed up when you're doing these contracts.
Well, my next question was, what was the moment where you almost gave up? But I'm assuming that it was at that point.
Oh yeah, it was at that point. It was, there was another point too, which was a natural disaster. So at one point, there was all these windstorms. Like, the weather was horrible in the Pacific Northwest of the U.S. and Canada, and my farms were in Vancouver. And because herbs are finicky, like, they're really hard to grow.
Yeah.
And especially if the weather changes, if it gets wet.
Mm-hmm.
So we had this fungus go through the crops, and it just exploded, and it started wiping out crop. Like, it would just jump from field to field because this just gets blown by air. Right?
Oh my God.
And
it's not like you can just regrow them really quickly.
No, it takes forever. You're 100% right. So we would wake up one morning and a field would be fine. The next day it'd be gray and dying. So, and because we were organic, there wasn't many sprays or anything I could put on it to kill the fungus.
Yeah.
And if we did, then the product wasn't organic anymore.
Yeah.
So anyways, that almost wiped us out because the rains and the winds just would not stop. It was not a typical summer.
And how did you overcome this? How did you get out of it?
No, we just prayed. Honestly, there was nothing we could do. We just prayed. We tried to be smart, and we tried to start plowing fields down in between fields so that it wasn't such an easy jump to the next crop.
Yeah.
Right? So we would have like 20 rows of herbs. Then we'd purposefully go down and kill like 5 rows and put up a barrier. Like we'd string this cloth up that was about 25 feet high to try, and that helped a little bit. But yeah, that was a rough year. I was like, man, I got to get out of this industry because, you know, if I got to depend on Mother Nature and that's what Mother Nature's going to do, I'm out. That was almost the time where I was like, we got to put this company up for sale.
Oh my God. Okay. So if a teenager has a big idea, what's the first step they should take in becoming an entrepreneur?
Look, if they big ideas mixed with passion, the right energy and the right reasons for why you're doing it, I think that people should go for it and chase their dreams and chase their ideas. I'm living proof of that. We started with nothing. And by the time 2010 came around, I was one of the biggest in the world. So I think if a teenager has an idea and they're truly passionate about it, because a lot of times I hear people come up with ideas and the idea they think is going to make money, and it's the money that they're passionate about. Right? So if they're really passionate about the idea and if they believe in it's something new and if it's on point, like, you know, today, if I see lots of investment presentations all the time, and people are talking about ideas that are today relevant, and they just want to copycat someone else's idea and make it their own because, you know, they like the genre, or they like. But if today a teenager's coming up with an idea and they're passionate about it, and it has to do with tomorrow, it has to do with 5 years from now, what is the world going to look like and what is the world going to need? Then, you know, my advice to them would be find some mentors, go around to universities, find professors that are working in that field, and just knock on the door and talk to them. You know, send them an email, send them a WhatsApp. Be like, I have this idea. I want to be people that are truly intellectual and passionate about the same things that you're passionate about. They want to help young people. They want to have a discussion about great ideas. So yeah, that's what I would do. I would look into it, do some research and talk to some people, find some mentors that are in that field that could tell you about the exact questions you're asking, right?
And my next question kind of follows that. It's if you rewind to high school days, what advice would you give yourself, like knowing what you know now? Like if you rewind it to when you first started, what new advice would you give yourself?
To not listen to the teachers. My advice would be to not listen to the teachers because, you know, I'm learning about stuff, mandatory things that just didn't make sense. So I get that was a way to get me to fall into a routine and learn how to learn if I needed to read more or more repetition or do more practice for math tests. But I wish I would have looked around broader and maybe read different books. Because I used to read a lot, but I wish I would have read about what I would have needed or the industry I was going in, done something more. But high school to me, I felt I spent a lot of time enjoying with my friends, playing sports and, you know, hanging out at McDonald's and doing all the things at lunchtime. But I was getting straight A's and not having to work very hard because I came from India, and by grade 8, I had already done the grade 12 curriculum in India.
Oh my God.
It's so much harder. So I wouldn't even study for tests. But what I should have done in high school is not paid attention to what the teachers were trying to teach me and learn more about business or laws or keep an ear out for Microsoft was just starting then. Apple was just becoming a thing. Like, I should have been paying more attention to that stuff than the tech stuff.
That's so funny that you had the whole curriculum memorized.
Yeah, it was so, like, to me, it was easy. They were doing math problems and my friends would sit around and struggle in grade 12. And I was like, man, we did this in India in grade 8. It's so easy.
So what was the moment where you realized like you made it? Like your aha moment, like you realized like, okay, like your dreams came true? Like, this is what you've always wanted.
That's not a very good question for me, because I still think I haven't made it. It's just what drives me. It's what gets me up every morning. I still want to do more. Capabilities that I wanted to have was when I started to first see the effects of some of the things I was doing. Like, I started a program where I brought in Caribbean farm workers into Canada, and it was a pilot program. And I brought in all these Jamaicans into Canada, and maybe 30 or 45 Jamaicans, like some number. After a couple of years, they started showing me pictures of their kids going to university, or they're buying a new house, or them having a car. And they're like, "Sir, this is because of you. This is, you gave us employment, you did this." I was like, wow, like, I'm really changing lives. And people used to come up to me and say, "Oh, your dad changed our life. Like, he co-signed a mortgage for us." I'm like, why would my dad co-sign a mortgage for an employee? So I started doing some of those things and emulating what my dad did. And then because we grew so much, we got to do it on such a larger scale. So when you start seeing people give you credit for their life being improved, or you're able to go to a charity, or you're able to develop a product that saves sick kids or something, you're like, "Oh man, I'm really doing this. Like, this is cool."
If you had to sum up entrepreneurship in 3 words without saying hard work, dedication, or persistence, what would they be?
Without saying hard work, dedication, or persistence?
Yeah.
I would say that passion is important. It's what gets you out of bed in the morning. Like, you really have to love it. And then with passion, you have a responsibility to maintain a level of integrity. And if you don't have integrity, meaning you will steal from people or lie or rip off people to get ahead, it means that whatever it is that you're selling, whether it's this pair of glasses or whether it's, this coffee mug, is that you don't really truly believe in it. You're just in it for the dollars. Remember what we spoke about earlier?
Yeah.
And then I think that if you consider yourself an entrepreneur, then you have to have vision. You have to be able to see what others don't. You have to be able to see where the market is going in 5 or 10 years, or what humanity will need, or what the population will need. And that's what makes you an entrepreneur is you need vision. If you're just a me too, right? If you're just copying what someone else did because it was a good idea, and Bob's paint company is doing well, so you're going to start painting houses, but you haven't thought about that there's a housing recession around the corner and no one's going to be painting houses.
Yeah.
Right? So those types of things, I think that would be it. Yeah. You have to have vision. You have to have integrity. And you gotta have passion.
Okay. And lastly, who is somebody on the outside, like outside of the business world, who really inspires you?
My mom. Yeah, she is someone that I have not seen another human like this. And not just because it's my mom, but now lots of people have verified to me. But this is someone that just is so detached from material things.
Yeah.
That she's never needed to want to be an entrepreneur or a millionaire or a billionaire. Like, what she wanted in her life was nothing that had a label on it. And so talking to her even about business, the approach that she takes is God first. What's it say in our holy book? We're Sikhs from northern Punjab, India. So, the Sikh religion is treat all humanity as one. So from an early age, she taught us that men and women were equal. From an early age, she taught us that there is no caste. Like, don't believe in it if someone says that's a servant or that's a king. They're all humans. They're all the same. And so she has all these other metrics that if you apply them to business and you start treating all your employees with the same amount of respect, you start promoting women the same as you do men. If you apply her principles to it, she just inspires me all the time to this day. So Very, very different, nothing to do with business, just the highest moral standards and love for everyone, and just, an ethical code that's just unbreakable.
Okay, well, thank you so much for taking your time to let me interview you. I learned a lot, and it was great.
No, that was awesome, Kenza. Thank you. This has been fun.
Thank
If you ever need anything, you reach out, okay?
Thank you so much. Thank
You
you.
got it.